Lovely. Yep.
Hi everyone, welcome to Unapologetically You with myself, Tuls, and the wonderful Kelly. And both of us are going to be exploring a really interesting topic today. So today we are going to go into gratitude. But before we get started, please, if you haven't already, so hit the subscribe button on YouTube and hit the like button. Share this podcast if you liked it with your family and friends. And thank you for listening if you're listening on Spotify and Podbean. And for those who want to support us, we are available on Patreon, where you can see exclusive clips and episodes before they actually launch for the public, and some funny clips that me and Kelly end up having within our green room chats. So today we are talking about gratitude. Hi, Cal.
Hi, Tuls. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I'm going to start off today's episode by saying I'm grateful for you. It's going to be cheesy, but I am grateful for you because, let's be honest, this podcast started in the pandemic. We both agreed that we wanted to collaborate with one another, and we both sacrifice our time, energy, effort into these episodes. And I don't know about you, but I think you did mention this one point, but I always feel so good after chatting with you and recording these podcasts. And then now I'm looking forward to each and every recording, because I'm like, I feel like I come off of these calls and these podcasts as like a little bit of a high.
Yeah, a little buzz, right? And it's not silly to say you're grateful. I'm grateful too. I'm grateful for you. And let's be honest with everyone, Tuls puts in 99% of the work, doing all of the editing and all of the social media for this. And I turn up and have a fun conversation and barely laugh as well, which is what you see in the outclips. It's mainly us laughing at each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And a bit of ourselves. We think we're funny, don't we?
Yeah, we think we're hilarious. But the thing is, I love looking into gratitude. And I was telling Kel before we actually recorded, was that I've been getting I'm seeing articles from people. So I forwarded them on to Kelly. Like me, I love my background and my research. So I did write a chapter in itself in my book, which is due to launch. I don't know when.
You don't know when? Okay, I thought there was a date coming.
There's a bit in that. But I loved exploring gratitude. And I love the fact that gratitude gives us the tools to change our mind. And it isn't a thing that it's not a case of, oh, you're going through a tough time, you suppress it with gratitude or positive mindset thinking. I think that by using gratitude, it allows us to process the feelings. It shifts our perspective from a place of lack to abundance. And I loved reading about it. I loved exploring a little bit more about it. But Cal, I wanted to ask you actually, when did you first come across gratitude?
I was probably a little girl. So it wasn't something that I was unaware of my whole life, but it's something that I forgot about probably for a lot of it when I was busy, when I was tired. But when I was a little girl, I lived in the country, in the outback, and I would find a little quiet corner and I would always pray for all the things I was grateful for. I know, and I don't come from a religious family either, which is probably why I found a little corner to do it in, because I wasn't, I didn't want to do it in front of everyone. But yeah, no, I've always had that in me to know that gratitude is, as that article says, it's the gateway emotion, because it's like it leads to so many other emotions like happiness, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, but then as an older adult, I went back to it. But I would say Tulsa was probably 20 years in there where I didn't say my little prayers of gratitude. What about you?
That's interesting. And I was going to go back to that actually, because you said you started young, and I'm guessing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing it came from the heart. Like it didn't come from wanting anything. It was just an abundance that you had as a young child, and you're just exploring the joy, right? You're chasing the joy.
Absolutely. Oh, you know what? How many little girls want a pony? I had a pony. I had everything. So it definitely come from my heart, because there was nothing I needed to ask for. It was all just so thankful for everything I had and for my family and for the people that surrounded me. Yeah.
I love that. And then, so when did it go into like a mute and a quiet state? You said for 20 years you recognized that it wasn't as forefront in your mind. Where did that go?
Yeah, that's a good question. Where did it go? I think, okay, let me just try to answer that. I guess it was my late teens when I started doing other things, and I started going out and having a life separate from my family. I was still with my family, but, had a separate life from them as well. I think, well, that was when. It wasn't that I stopped being grateful for everything. I just stopped expressing it.
Oh, I like that. That has to be a line in our promo, because it's just like, yeah, you were aware of it, but you just went on with life. And I think that when I have a look at coaching leaders, coaching successful people, or people who want to strive for success in their lives, and it's putting in place these habits, these tools that enable you to elevate, right? So things like, keeping a gratitude journal, or exercising, sleeping well, eating healthy, they are very much the basics, but people end up bypassing them because other things get in the way, right? And then more excuses crop up, and it's almost like we're abusing that procrastination instead of productivity. And there's so many things to distract us nowadays. Let's be honest, forget about 20 years ago, but right now we are so distracted that it's easily used as an excuse to go, oh, I don't know where the time went. Oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. But people who are successful have these key priorities that they, make a habit every day. And gratitude is one of them, right?
Oh, absolutely. You read about it all of the time. And I think what you said about making excuses for not doing these gratitude journals and anything associated with it is very accepted. It's really acceptable. People aren't horrified by it. They're like, oh yeah, like I don't do it either. So you're like, cool, I'm part of the gang. I don't have to do it because no one does it. And it's kind of like you're a standout. You're a different person if you do it. Back then. Now I've found a crew that do it, and and they're accepting of it and encouraging of it, like you, like Lizzie, like Sim. I have a few friends now that do it, and it makes me more, well, I want to do it.
I love that. See, I didn't think of it as hiding something that would seem unusual for you to do back then. It's probably why I didn't tell anybody that I'm doing it.
Yeah, you don't tell anyone. Yeah.
Right. And then now I still don't know that many people who do it. So actually this podcast has enabled me to understand that Kelly used to do it as a kid and she does it now, which is great because we do it with each other. But I've never really, like, if somebody asks me, oh, do you keep a gratitude journal? Or, I don't know anybody else who does that. So maybe I need to ask more questions of just saying, do you do it? And why don't you do it? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I pick my audience very much.
Yeah. So what are the things that you use now that you're aware of being more grateful? What do you do to be grateful every day? What is the habit and routine?
How do I express it? Or what? Yeah, verbally. I'm a verbal. I don't write it down, and I wish I did, but I don't. I've got a little gratitude journal that someone gave me, and it sits there with the spine not even broken open. I love the look of it though, so it sits on my shelf. But no, I'm verbal, so I'll express things verbally and out loud verbally as well. So again, that's probably another reason I find a little quiet space to do it, because it's very personal, very private. isn't
I
it?
think that's why people associated it with a gratitude journal. So having a gratitude journal actually means it's your own thing. You don't need to share it with anybody, and you're cultivating this sense of fulfillment, contentment, and you're in your own little bubble, right? But what I've noticed is this bubble goes beyond us, like not even in that moment, but it goes beyond hours, days, weeks, and it transfers to other people. So what I did one time is I can't remember where I read this, but they said just send a text message to say 3 to 5 people that you appreciate, right? So part of me was like, okay, well, I kind of need to give them the lowdown before I send a really heartfelt, vulnerable message. Because so I'm an open book now, but back then, like only a few years ago, I was so closed off, right? I had my walls up sky high. So that was really unusual for me. So it was good in a way that this challenged me to be more open and vulnerable and appreciative of other people, but also it enabled me to do something. It's almost like it's a selfless act, isn't it? Or you're trying to do a selfless act, which didn't end up being selfless because you end up feeling good anyway. So it was funny because I constructed a text message, and within it I said, okay, this is forewarning, this is just me being vulnerable, and I wanted to put it out there and, just show my appreciation because I'm in that mood today. So I basically just let it out there just to go, forewarning, this is going to be an appreciation text. And then I would write down the 3 things, and very, very specific and individual, of why I appreciated that person. So either we had a recent conversation and it really, really helped me, or they're parts of their personality that I really I admire or I aspire to be like. And it was very, very specific. And then what I didn't expect, so I just sent it out to, I think it was about three people. I sent it out, and then I didn't expect them to send one back to me. And then I'm reading these text messages going, oh, that's really sweet that you appreciate these things about me. And then they actually took time out and energy and effort to actually be specific. And now, years later, I'm still thinking about it. I still feel joy and contentment and happy because of it. And there is evidence to show that people who send out these letters of appreciation or, show their appreciation to others, that comes back tenfold, not only then, but then years later.
Absolutely. That's karma, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think that's the basis of karma, like the principles of karma, that you get back tenfold what you put out.
Yeah.
And that can be good or bad, right?
Yes. Well, we're the ones as humans that say it's good or bad. Like good or bad. As an example, good or bad in the UK will be different to good or bad in Australia, for example.
Great example. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And I'm not talking about like murders and things like that, right?
Oh, no, that's bad everywhere. No, I know what you mean, though. There are things that are acceptable in Australia, apparently, that would definitely not be acceptable behaviour in the UK, which has got a lot more tradition behind it than us convicts, right?
Wow.
So,
sorry.
No, go.
So I was going to say, well, talking about good or bad, like,
yes,
some people were talking about, I read this, that when you're going into an environment where, say, for example, you've lost somebody, right? And you're going through the process of all these emotions of grief, and you go through all of these feelings and emotions. And somebody wrote, it's fine for you to grieve, but how much time are you spending on grieving? Now, if this is triggering anyone, please do, I apologize. This isn't meant to trigger anyone, but this is just an example that somebody had mentioned. It was a psychologist who basically said, we are told in society how long is acceptable for grievance, because it actually shows the care, consideration, and love that we've had for this individual. So the longer you grieve, the longer you've loved them, or whatever it is. But he said in other cultures, they celebrate after the person has passed on, because that is moving forward and their soul is going on. And death isn't anything to be upset by. And so different cultures have that version of good or bad. And it's funny how then, taking that example, you're looking at how this person has given so much in their life. You're grateful for knowing them in your life, right? And you're bringing a sense of fulfillment, contentment, gratitude for this individual, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lovely way to think of it. And I wish I had known that earlier when my dad passed away, because it was the deepest grief I've ever felt. And if I think of it that way, then I still feel a very deep grief, like a black hole of grief. But I have been reading more and listening to more and more lately that lends this idea to me. And it's such a beautiful way to think about it. It's a lighting, a lifting of the soul, of my soul is what I'm referring to. And I love feeling that way.
Yeah. And it's like every time you think of your father, or, things are reminded of you, don't you feel that sense of gratitude? Do you feel a sense of gratitude or happiness or appreciation? What is it?
Well, all three. I think if you feel gratitude, then straight away it turns into something else. But yeah, I'm so grateful that I had my dad at all, and he was such a good dad. But even not having him now, I still feel that the gratitude of how much he gave and loved.
Yeah.
Such a good man. Such a good man.
It's funny as well because for those of you, I may have mentioned this in a previous podcast, but one of my friends, when she noticed that I kept like shutting down when it comes to relationships, and it doesn't have to be with a partner, it would be with friends too. I would just shut down, hence my walls being up so high. And she reminded me, and she said, yeah, wait, something's going to happen. We're not going to be here forever. But isn't it good that we have that ability to appreciate these people that little bit more? So rather than thinking, oh, but they're going to leave me, or they're not going to be here and I'm going to be left alone, actually think that you have these people who do love you, who are supporting you. Just be grateful and enjoy the relationship for what it is, because you have no idea what's going to happen in the future anyway. So, revel in this relationship now. And since then, I've obviously kept it to heart because I still do recall it, but I appreciate my parents so much more. And I feel like that's enhanced our relationship, because it's just like, let's be honest, we don't know how long we've got, right? And so isn't it a case of, why can't we be more appreciative of what they do and how much they give, and to everybody in our lives? So we need a bit more cheese. We need a bit more cheesiness in our life.
Yes. And not to be afraid, not to filter yourself. Isn't that a good way of putting it? I read this yesterday or this morning. At the end of your life, you'll realize that you filtered yourself for some people to fit in to, I know. And the people that you filtered yourself for are the people that weren't your people, But yeah, so if you filter yourself, you'll probably copy that behavior into a relationship with your parents and other people. And do you know what I mean? So you're not doing the cheesy things. You're trying to be, you're sitting on the fence basically, and not being one way or the other.
But also, have you noticed, is some people end up filtering themselves from themselves, so they're not on it.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. And whether they realize it or not, they're still filtering themselves. So they're not being their authentic self. But I think certainly there was a time when I didn't know what my authentic self was.
Oh, for sure. Like it's taken me a couple of years to get here. And I think that does come with age as well. It comes with, you go through your 20s with your insecurities and your unknowns and trying to figure yourself out. And then you end up reaching an age where it's funny as well, because you reach an age where you don't care about what other people think as much. But you need to dig deeper to uncover that definite authentic self, and the filter that you shouldn't put on yourself, because it's this form of self-sabotage, isn't it? So how can we appreciate things about ourselves, not just be grateful for others and everything we've got in our lives, but how can we be grateful for our body, for our health, for it's things that we take for granted, but it's the abundance that's all around us. I read somewhere, I think it was with Kyle Cease or Joe Dispenza, but they basically said that if you focus on abundance, you radiate abundance. And if people think they're lacking abundance, think about the oxygen around them. There is an abundance of oxygen around us, which means that we do not focus and need to breathe in and out purposely. Our body does it automatically, which means there's an abundance of oxygen for us to live and be alive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is harder to be grateful for your own attributes, or you think less about them, or you think poorly about them when you do. So like you mentioned, your body, it's such we're taught that, body beautiful, and social media does nothing to help that.
No. And I feel like there are some accounts that actually do endorse these messages, such as body confidence and appreciation of ourselves and self-care and things like that. And I know that that's more of a buzzword in these last probably couple of years, but gratitude definitely enables you to focus on the things that you may not appreciate about yourself, but find things that you do. Like I remember when I was going through a really crappy time and my friend said, okay, name 5 things that you like about yourself. And I was like, oh my God.
I know.
Like you're already, like not a good state. And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know. And then I think I remember this. I like my nails. That was one.
Did you not mention your black glossy hair? No, see, I look at you, I could scalp you.
Yeah, but I was in a ditch then. So I was like almost recovering from crying and like, I was in a bad hole, but it was really, really nice for her to say, name 5 things you're grateful for. Well, not grateful for, but you like about yourself.
You like about yourself. And it was your nails.
But then going back to that gratitude journal, you don't need to then just go, okay, this is what I'm grateful for in my life. It could be anything. It could be, these are the things I'm grateful for in my family, in my relationships, in my job, in my personality, in my physical and, emotional attributes. Mm-hmm. If you're writing, if you're having a gratitude journal, you can basically then hone in some of the answers and be specific, go in deeper. So if you didn't necessarily think you've got 5 things to be grateful for about yourself, the more and more you practice it, it's almost like a snowball effect. You'll gather momentum, and all of a sudden it may not happen like a couple of days, weeks, or months. Like this is a long-term thing. Like it's going to gain trajectory and gain momentum for you then years down the line, that you're going to be like, actually, hell yeah, my hair is good. Hell yeah, my hair is good. Hell yeah, my nails are on fire, right? Without being cocky or arrogant in that way.
Yeah. And it does help sometimes, like your friend asked you, for someone to, just tip you into thinking that way, that there must be at least 5 good things about me. At least 5 good things, right?
And I love that you prompt it, because the thing is, if friends prompt you, you kind of just brush it aside.
Yeah, of course. We do.
Yeah. It's just like,
isn't it wrong?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It needs to come from within, because it's like with everything. Yeah, you can be grateful for the technology, for your car, for your business, whatever it is. You can be grateful for those things, but it's almost like it's going to be more, what am I trying to say? It's going to be more kind of like bigger energy, more profound if it ends up coming from yourself.
There's the 5 whys. Have you heard of the 5 whys? They say, whoever they are the smart people, right?
I love it. So
they over there say that whatever you think of first, I like my nails. Why do I like my nails? And then the next answer is why? Because I've got the health to grow them. Why are you grateful for your health? And you do 5 whys. And the 5th why is it's like the foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, the foundation of the pyramid. So then you can grow on top of that pyramid, but you actually understand that why you're grateful for your nails.
Yeah.
You know, you're not grateful for your nails, not in truth. There's 4 more levels deeper. Nails was probably not a great example because you're looking at me like whatever, but
no, I get it. I do get it, and I love the fact that you're answering the why. And just as you said, it's not about the actual nail; it's about what you're feeding into your body, the health that you're putting in. So if you're not eating well, sleeping well, exercising, drinking your green juice, whatever you're doing, your nails aren't gonna be that great. Like if somebody compliments my legs, for example, this is a random one, I'll always say it's thanks to my mum.
Okay, yes. So I'm grateful my mum has great legs, and I'm grateful that she gave them to me.
Right? So and it's like when somebody compliments my beauty, I'm just like, this is just like a random one, but I was like, yeah, I have great parents, I have great genes.
Yeah, I got it from my mama.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't need to take credit for it because it's not actually mine. Like I've just been given it. So
Yep. But anything, so your book writing skills, for example, I've always wanted to write a book, and I always thought that I would write a book, but I haven't. But you have. And would you say that book is your gratitude journal in a way?
No, it's more of and this is probably why I'm holding off, like releasing it, because I feel like the whole project, the whole book came from me being more vulnerable. So it was a case of taking some stories that I've learned from my life and then putting it into this book, which was backed by research. So say, for example, an interesting one, I started doing more things to be grateful for. So I started a gratitude journal because I was watching Oprah years and years ago. And the habit of naming 5 things I was grateful for, sometimes I just repeat them and they would just be on a cycle. Every day would just be like, yeah, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. And it would just repeat, right? It was almost like a copy and paste thing. But I knew that I needed to solidify that habit because I knew that it would help me in the long term. And also Oprah said it. So Oprah was like, guru. Yes. Yeah, she said it. We need to do it. So for me, I ebbed and flowed around that consistency, but I made a habit to practice writing things I'm grateful for before bed, so I can then reflect on the positives throughout the day and throughout my life. So say, for example, a chapter in the book does talk about gratitude and why it been important for me and why has that habit then, it's endorsed by science, like applied psychology, health and well-being found that 15 minutes of writing down grateful statements causes people to sleep better for longer. So I'm like, oh, I want to sleep better for longer. Yeah. Why don't I do that? Right. So it's almost like coming back to the experiences that I've gone through, some of the struggles, some of the hardships. I wanted to put my own little stamp on it. And from there, I kind of like put a silver thread of this is what the research says, this is what backs it up. And those are the chapters as I go along. So if anybody knows an editor or wants to, help me publish this book, let me know, because I'm just sitting on it.
I'm very keen to hear it. Or listen to it. Read it. You could turn it into an ebook though.
Yes, I definitely do want to create an audio version as well.
Are you
But
going to read it? You should.
yeah,
You
yeah,
speak
yeah, yeah.
well. Yeah. You would be great to listen to. Yeah, we'll do that. Do that. I think you should. But I was thinking maybe it was your gratitude journal, and I was going to break it down into your 5 whys. Why this? Why? But I'm interested to see your chapters, because you keep talking about this chapter, that chapter, and I know I've been there for some of what you're going to write about.
Yeah,
So
I think I've been like taking out, and the funny thing is, I feel like the book, and obviously all of these years, I've broken down my own walls and my own barriers, and I've let people in slowly, and people, my friends, and you are one of them, Cal. I'm just so grateful that people have just stuck by me. Even when I pushed, they were still around. So I've tested my friends for sure. For sure. And I feel like the book was another version of me opening up to go through some of the trauma and the stories that I've been through. And there's a few things I haven't obviously publicized or put in the book, but it gave me an opportunity to uncover why I'd gone through that. And it wasn't a case of, oh, I'm grateful for this hardship. I wasn't there straight away. I think I've come years after that going, so from this book, I've gone, okay, actually, that's then enabled me to speak about it in the podcast, or to write about it in my blog, or to be open about it, because other people may resonate with it. There may be one person who says, you know what, I've been through that, and it's kind of nice to hear your story, or you admitting it, so that I could admit it to myself.
Yes, it's nice to know you're not alone in the world, the only one feeling that, thinking that, doing that, sabotaging yourself. And I think a lot more of us do it than admit to doing it, or recognize, or acknowledge, whichever word is the right word. But yeah, there's a lot more of us out there doing it than we think.
Yeah, for sure. Like, let us know if you practice gratitude, if you have a gratitude journal, because I want to know more people who do it, because Kelly has loads of people and I don't know that many people. So if you do it, please let us know. And what I found actually was really interesting. I can't remember, it was within the article I sent you. There was I sent Kelly, guys, was it a neuroscience of gratitude, or it might have been just the art of gratitude. It was an article. I'll put it in the description box below. But another thing that I found was practicing gratitude has a reduction in stress. So yeah, we sleep better, we sleep for longer, but we can actually reduce our stress. And that wasn't the pinnacle for me to do gratitude. I think it was just, we're supposed to do it. Oprah said it. Let's just do it because it's supposed to make us feel good, right? And so I think that this is quite poignant for people who are overcoming major trauma. I know we spoke about grief earlier on in the show, but in 2006, a study published in Behavioral Research Therapy found that Vietnam War veterans had higher levels of gratitude. If they had higher levels of gratitude, they experienced lower rates of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Maybe.
That was the major contributing factor to actually having the lower rate of PTSD. And they even said that it fosters resilience. So being grateful for things makes you more resilient. And those people who had been grateful had overcome, were able to be more resilient, especially when September 11th happened.
Yes. It's hard to see the silver lining sometimes, but being forced to find it and write something that you're grateful that came out of a bad situation, I can see why it made people more resilient.
Yeah.
I have a friend who had a dreadful, violent, traumatizing childhood, and she finds the silver lining. And I am grateful for her for showing me how to find gratitude out of that it makes me cry to think about what she has been through. But she goes, if I didn't experience that, then I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't have you in my life. She can just list a multitude of things that have come out of a traumatized, violent childhood.
Yeah.
And she's an amazing woman, amazing human. I think everyone should have one of her, I won't say her name, but one of her in their lives.
Yeah.
But it does make me realize that there is a silver lining that can come out of every situation.
Yeah, and she's actually expressed her level of resilience, right? So anything that comes now after this trauma that she's experienced, it's a case of the fact that she's fostered that resilience and she's grateful for everything. It's almost like, well, that was the worst thing. Everything else is kind of like, meh, like I can deal with that.
Yeah, in comparison, absolutely. Yeah, no, she's taught me a lot, and she hasn't meant to taught me a lot. She hasn't spoken to me about certain subjects with the goal to give me a lesson. She's just expressed herself, and it has meant so much and more to me than she realizes.
I love
so
that.
I should actually tell her how grateful I am. I do tell her, but I probably don't tell her with the full force of the emotion that actually I feel.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it in terms of those of you who are listening to this podcast. Find 3 people that you are extremely grateful for and tell them why you're grateful, and maybe give them a pre-warning just in case it comes out of the blue. But yeah, I love the fact that if we can spread gratefulness in our lives, then that's going to seep into others. So yeah, don't expect a message back, but it's almost like give freely and you don't know what else will return to you, but you're going to feel good about it when you're expressing gratitude for another person. Like Cal, you yourself just, your eyes brightened, your smile widened, and you felt all of this appreciation for your friend.
I did.
Right?
I did. I was definitely feeling it. I didn't feel the physical appearance that you just described, but I felt a big lump of gratitude and happiness and everything that comes from gratitude from saying it and acknowledging and recognizing. Yeah.
And I think that for me in itself, it ties in with that vulnerability of, can you be more grateful, but you're also having this level of authenticity and vulnerability within yourself, right? How can you be more unapologetically yourself, right?
Oh, yep, very important, very healthy. And that article that you're going to link into the show notes is a great one to read, because it talks about how gratitude extends to providing an environment. I've written it here, an emotional economy rather than a transactional economy. And it will make you realize which relationships in your life are more transactional to the ones that are more emotional. And the emotional economy ones are the ones where gratitude is felt, even if it's not verbalized, between 2 people. So I would say our friendship is an emotional economy. It's not a transactional one. It's not superficial at all. It's getting deeper and deeper.
I agree, for sure. And every time we have a conversation, I'm learning so much more about you. But for those of you who haven't read the article, Cal, explain a little bit more about that transactional type of relationship or interaction.
Well, it's more of a superficial side of things. So it can be someone you know really well, but again, you're filtering yourself for them, or so that you don't have to get emotional with it. It's hard for some people to express emotion, isn't it? And so if it's hard to express emotion, like express it, show it, it's even harder to verbalize it. So if you don't verbalize your emotions, if you don't express your emotions, then it becomes a transactional relationship.
Okay. So I can only pick up an example from when I was younger. My parents and their parents just had parent-kid relationship, right? There wasn't any sentiment or emotion or I didn't see any heartfelt emotion or connection with them. Like, you know, their father and son, mother and grandma, whatever it is, but there was nothing else. That they didn't really share their emotions. And I remember being young teenager at the time, I I kept saying, I love you, I love you. And I genuinely, every time we went to bed, love you. And I don't even know where I got it from, but I ended up kind of like pushing my way in certain barriers because my dad would never say it. My mum wouldn't say it. And now my dad will say it, like, this is like 20 plus years later. Now my dad will say it after we finish a phone call. And he even said it to my cousin. Like, I'm going to say this is probably accidental because I'm like, wait, that's for me.
That's our thing.
But it's funny, and it's lovely to hear that he expressed that love and tenderness to my cousin, because my cousin messaged me after going, oh my God, your dad is so cute. Guess what my uncle did, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, it's nice that they were able to verbalize and express their emotion from me, like beating down the door every time, just saying, say I love you, say I love you.
Yeah, it is lovely. No, that's something that they've had to grow into or break a barrier down in order to do, right? Because it does sound like the relationship with their parents was, if not transactional, more of an obedient relationship. So there was an obedience expected or an expectation of behavior. And so again, your parents were filtering themselves for their parents. I bet there's stuff your parents have done that their parent, that even you don't know about, that they, you know, the stories you hear, like when my dad was in hospital, he was telling us stuff that he had done even when he was our dad. So, you know, he was 23 when I was, or 22 when I was born. So he was a very young adult when I was born. But beyond that, 5 children later, he was still doing cheeky, unlawful, borderline stuff. And we go, Dad. But, you know, he had filtered himself as our father to be a certain expectation for us and a role model for us. I think when you're a role model for someone, the relationship is maybe a little bit transactional. But, yeah, when the emotions get woven into it, which they certainly did at the end of my dad's life, it was there was no barrier, no barriers at all between us. We could say anything to each other, and we did tell how much we loved each other. It's not something that he would have expressed the way your dad just did. So I think for parents, our generation of parents, it's a hard, I don't know if it's a hard thing or just something they don't say. I wonder if anyone else's parents say it, express it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting because obviously every parent-child relationship is going to be different. But in terms of, I love the fact that you mentioned that even in that short span of time that you had with one another, his filters came down, his boundaries came down, and he was more open and vulnerable, right? To express not only gratitude, but fun, joy, playfulness, right? Because that's who he enjoyed being. Otherwise,
right?
Yeah.
And I never knew it. Yeah.
If he was, say, bitter and mean or angry, then that would obviously come at the forefront, right? And I feel like when you are faced with a limited time in front of you, that's when you really showcase individuals, or when individuals face a trauma. Yeah, at that time, it may go to their quick reactions. This is my go-to reaction. But what are you doing after that? What are you doing weeks, months after that? Are you still holding on to it? You know, can you, like your friend, can you be grateful for that? Because it's made you into who you are now.
Yes, you've got to look for those things. And I did not want my dad to pass away, but I can see good that came out of it. That sounds terrible, but good things came out of him being unwell and passing away.
Yeah.
Dreadful things came out of it, but good things came out of it. And if you really focus on the good things and do the 5 whys down, I feel a warmth. And I actually don't even feel like my dad is gone. Sometimes I remember that he has died, and it's a shock to me. because I still feel him so close to me. And I'm grateful for that as well.
But this is the thing. It's like you just epitomized that whole thing of, yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, you would take it back in a heartbeat. But everything that has come since then has made you grateful because you're choosing which perspective to focus on. So you can choose to say, oh, it's raining. Or you can choose to go, yeah, but there's sunshine in the background and there's a rainbow just hovering over it because it's not raining that hard enough. Right?
Yeah. Right.
So it could be either or, but I think that you've always got this fresh perspective. I said to my dad the other day, I said, so you can look outside the window, and taking weather back as an example, you can look outside the window and say, oh my goodness, it's a horrid day. It's windy and it's gusty and it's really cold because we live in the UK, joy. But you can also then go, isn't it a gorgeous day because it's sunny, or because we're able to experience the comfort of our own home and be warm and safe and stable and secure, and we don't have like holes in our house, right? It's just like, you don't need to then focus on that. You can focus on something else and then draw in that happiness and that joy and positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good example, actually. You can go the outside. It does look like an awful day out there, or cold and windy, but look at me, all nice and warm and just wearing a little sweater inside. So grateful I can be.
Yeah. And it seems like, really, going back to that cheesy line, it seems really like, oh, well, you're really positive or you're optimistic. But I just want to kind of give our audience a little bit of a side note that people say I'm optimistic, but I keep saying, yeah, but I've worked damn hard to be this way. So it's a case of, it's not something that becomes natural overnight. It's something that has, you've purposely chosen to think these things, to feel these things, to write down these things, because over time, that's going to serve you in the long run. So I feel like with anything good, right, it's not going to it could be success overnight, but is it longevity? Whereas the things that you are eating healthy today doesn't mean you're going to fit into the dress tomorrow. You're exercising today doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, right?
Damn it.
All of these things are just going to happen over time, but they are the most rewarding, the most ways that we feel content and happy.
Yeah. Oh, I love the way you put that, Tuls. You always have very good analogies.
Thanks.
That turn a complex thing into a simple idea. I like that, the way you do that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So it's just the last thing. I know that research has found that saying thank you has constitute as, it's good manners. But when you show appreciation, like flashing thank you to a driver because he let you pass, or
love doing that.
Yeah, yes. I love doing that, right? And
yes, I know.
I was on the motorway the other day and I was about to pass somebody, but the guy in front of me was really, really slow. But the guy in the fast lane, I was like, I'll just let him go and then I'll pass, right? So the guy in the fast lane actually flashed me to go. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. But I just felt really good because of it. I was like, we didn't need to do that. And there's this perfect stranger I don't know has just then gone out of his way to probably slow down, enable me to go into the fast lane. And then as soon as I can, I went back into the slow lane after my overtake. But it's like, you know, if you can take one thing from this podcast, show gratitude to yourself, show gratitude to others, and find gratitude in where you are at this moment, because there are things to be grateful for. And the more and more you do this, the more and more contentment, fulfillment, joy you're going to feel. And that's going to come from inside. Nobody can take that away from you.
True. Just spreads positive feelings, doesn't it? And it's like, what's it called? Paying it forward. So when you do something good, and someone else just gets that good feeling from you, they'll pay it forward. Most of the time, I feel like they'll pay it forward.
Yeah. Right? I remember hearing some good stories about people in Starbucks or at a drive-through and just saying, I'm paying for the guy behind me. And you never know. Well, I think that they always say that don't judge, or just be kind, because you don't know what other people are going through in their lives. And not everybody's willing to be vulnerable about it, because they're still processing maybe, or they're still going through their own hardships in their own journey. So how can you pay it forward for somebody else that is a stranger, you know, and they're going to pay it forward to somebody else? Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be for you, but we're just enhancing the joyfulness in this world.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There is a coffee shop here that does the pay it forward coffee. And the people who actually get offered there's someone before you just paid for a coffee and it's yours. Some people will go, I don't really need it. I'll just pay for mine and that can go on top of, and I'll pay another one and it'll go on top of. So now there's 2 coffees. And then when someone actually gets it and accepts it, they are so, it's like they've won the lottery. Yeah. You know, the joy. And they turn around, they try to find the person who paid for it, and they could be long gone. Yeah. But, you know, it just spreads joy to everyone in the coffee shop. And I'm only saying that because I witnessed it the other day. So, a little older lady got the free coffee, and she said, oh, what? Like, she was so, like, excited, truly like she'd won the lottery. And I went, you've got to contribute to someone feeling like that. It costs $5.
Right. Yeah. For sure. If you want to make an impact on somebody's life, just pay it forward. And like I said,
buy them a coffee. I suppose a coffee.
Yeah, you were talking earlier on about it's karma. It'll come back to you in whichever way. So if you want to put good karma out there, that's one way to do it.
It's one way to do it. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in karma, and not about, you know, people say bad karma will come back to you. Probably it will, but I'm a bigger believer in the good energy you put out just bounces back straight at you at a faster rate.
And this is the thing, you sent me a graph, which I've never seen before, and it says the vibrations of your emotions. And yes, you're going to experience, say, jealousy or anger or pain, and all these different things are a lower level of emotions. But when you go to the higher vibration of, you know, playfulness, fun, laughter, belly laughter, you're going through all these different emotions and feelings, they vibrate higher anyway. So you know how sometimes you end up, I don't know if you found this, Kel, but you end up repelling people who just don't resonate with you. And when some people say, oh, I've got this friend who does this, or this friend who does that, and that shit in my life, and blah, 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 I can honestly say, touch wood, I don't have that many people in my life who are like that, because I'm just like, I'm purposefully shunning people. It's like, I'm attracting the people who are grateful, who are joyful, who are successful, who are flipping intelligent, who are creative. Like, I know so many incredible individuals. I'm like, man, I'm lucky to know you.
I'm so lucky too, right? I agree. But like you said, it's your energy that they're resonating with, that I don't know, joins hands with. Trying to think of a beautiful analogy, like you would say, but, you know, drawing people in with the same vibration.
I think so, for sure. And that's the thing. It's, if you want something out there, just put it out there. Be grateful and just let it go and see what happens. See what comes back to you.
Yeah. Well, we've got an experiment going on there, so we'll see how that one goes, hey?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's a good way to round up our episode. Goodness, we've gone through like different ranges of gratitude.
Can you look behind you and see the sunlight on your wall behind you? It's an exclamation mark. It's like putting an exclamation mark on the back of everything you have just spoken about, like going, yes, Tuls.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. For those who are watching on YouTube, you're going to be able to see this. But for those who are watching on Spotify, go check out YouTube.
Yeah. Or take a screenshot of it and put that up, because that's a bit of magic right there.
I will. That's awesome. I love that you spotted that as well.
It's nothing. It's not hiding. It's out there. So, all right. Yes. Sorry, Tuls.
Let's round up. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you for subscribing, listening to us every other week on Unapologetically You. I appreciate you. I know Kelly does appreciate you. So
I do.
So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day today.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye. Bye.